What's up? What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel, Sports, Life, and Politics TV. Today is October 20th. I'm Samuel Koppel, and I'm here for the news. And today, we're going to go over several news clips, like I like to cover locally, nationally, and internationally. You know, we just peep the scene, what's going on around the world, y'all. And try to read in depth and read in between the lines and try to get to the bottom of some of these stories and give our opinion. People get in the comment sections and, you know, they give their opinion on what they think happened or how it happened or why it happened. But recently there was a serial killer in Stockton. I kind of had went over this story a couple weeks ago. And now that the man has been caught, I figure I'll double back. Now, as of right now, he's only been charged for, I want to say 3 murders, but there's actually 6 altogether. You have some people who are skeptical, who are a little bit suspicious that they don't think this man did all those killings. But there is something that is out there that's alleged. It's alleged that his daughter was raped by a Mexican man. Now, this is purely alleged, but when I made this video right here, I made this video 3 weeks ago, I want to say. Let's take a look and see when the video was made. I made this video October the 4th. And when I made this video, there was something that happened within the scope of this case that made me a little suspicious, which I said, that don't sound right. Let's go to it. Here it is right here.
Oh, if it's a person, 2 or 3, we just don't know.
Since July, police say 5 men between the ages of 21 and 50.
Now, all these men are Hispanic men. You got Salvador D. Bundy Jr., Jonathan Hernandez Rodriguez, Juan Cruz, Lawrence Lopez Sr., and Paul Ya. Now, when I first seen that, listen to what I said.
Or have been gunned down on the streets of Stockton.
Let's look at let me see. Let me look at the names. Let me look at the names again.
Since July, police say
Try to catch a pattern. We got Paul Ya, Salvador, Jonathan Hernandez Rodriguez, Juan Cruz, and Lawrence Lopez Sr. All Spanish, all Mexican. Interesting.
ages of 21.
And as you can see, I couldn't put it all together because, you know, you never have all the details of the case. But even during that 3 weeks ago, October 4th, close to 3 weeks ago, October 4th, I realized, like, something ain't right. They all Mexican men. And then now there's a rumbling that his daughter was raped. Now, that could be wrong, but it being all Mexican men is highly suspicious. I knew that at the time. But let's take a look at this case right here. Accused Stockton serial killer charged with 3 murders.
There are some people who are just simply too dangerous to share the streets with you and I.
The man accused of serial killings in Stockton, California, has been charged with 3 murders, 1 count of possession of a firearm by a felon, and 1 count of possession of ammunition by a felon. The district attorney of San Joaquin County made the announcement days after the arrest of 43-year-old Wesley Brown Lee. Police released surveillance video of a person of interest in this case, and they say tips came pouring in.
Stockton heard it.
Because we know that serial killers, from our perspective, it's for nothing. But when a person is killing like this, they, in their mind, have a reason. Is it a justified reason? 9 times out of 10, it is not. But sometimes there is a justified reason for them to actually go out and do that. You know what I mean? And if this what is alleged is true, that his daughter was raped, then he feels like in his mind that's justified. But obviously all these men ain't raped his daughter. It would have been somebody else, or maybe one of the men, and then he just felt like he was ready to go on a killing spree. He had nothing to lose. He was going nowhere. His life was in shambles, and you know how that shit go. And he was just ready to do whatever. But yeah, that's not justified. It's wrong as hell. He's gonna spend a long time in jail if he's guilty of all these crimes that they say he's guilty of.
Call. And the residents of this great city answered. Hundreds of tips a day came through the hotline.
Police have said 5 killings and 1 shooting in their city, along with a killing in Oakland, have all been linked to a suspect through ballistic evidence. The district attorney says the investigation is ongoing, but she fully expects more charges to be filed against this defendant in hopes of getting justice.
And yes, I lived in Stockton, and I have seen this nigga before. Everybody in Stockton said, I've seen this nigga somewhere before. Because Stockton's not very big, but you know, you walk past people, you run past basically everybody in the city at one time or another. But I have seen this guy before. Do I know him? Absolutely not. But have I seen him? I know I've seen this guy over the past 12, 13 years that I was in Stockton.
It's for all of the victims and their families.
I offer my sincere condolences. No family should have to endure what they are currently going through.
Brownlee is being held without bond. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Mara Montalbano.
Yeah, now they're going with the court proceedings and everything else, and they'll start getting to the bottom. Did he do all these crimes? But they did find a gun, ballistic evidence, but we'll see. You know, everybody has to have their day in court. Let's go on to this. George Floyd family sues Kanye West for $250 million. Now, let me say this about George Floyd. George Floyd, what happened to George Floyd should have never happened. The police officer who did it deserves to go to jail. Excuse me. He deserves to do life. And it was a heinous and terrible act. But then they started going too far with the George Floyd thing. They talking about building statues and listen to me. Black people, George Floyd was a dope fiend. And I'm not minimizing what happened to him. I'm just saying, in the black community, we've never, ever cared about dope fiends. We just haven't. They actually have a term in the black community called dope fiending the nigga. That means doing him bad. Like, when I was growing up in the 90s, and everybody was selling crack and selling drugs, they would do dope fiends bad. They might make a nigga do 100 sit-ups, 100 jumping jacks, and 100 push-ups for a $5 rock. Yeah, they might slap him. He might say something wrong. They might shoot him. I mean, they would do dope fiend bad. That's thus the term dope fiending a nigga. If you hit a nigga while he ain't looking, that's called dope fiending a nigga. So this whole thing of building George Floyd a statue is ridiculous. We have so many other black men who deserve to have statues built, whether it be Malcolm X or George Washington Carver, or, I mean, the list goes on and on of black men with great accomplishments that deserve statues. He was in there with a counterfeit 20, trying to buy something, I don't know, out of a corner convenience store, and ended up not wanting to get in the police car. And then the man, obviously they had worked together, and then the man used that to choke the shit out of him. But George Floyd made a lot of mistakes leading up to what happened to him. And instead of teaching young black men what not to do to put yourself in this situation, we basically throw all that out of the way and just talk about the final result. And you can't do that. You cannot. That's like if your daughter walking down a dark alley at night. Look, anything happened to her is wrong. There's no doubt about that. But you just can't. You have to teach her, don't do that. That's not what you do. It's dangerous. He was living a dangerous lifestyle. He was robbing. He was out here hitting licks, and he was scamming and scheming, and all that shit ended up catching up with him. Like I said, the police officer who did it deserved life in jail. No doubt about it. And in a real just world, he probably deserved a death penalty. But George Floyd shouldn't be put up on a pedestal either, because he was everything that black men don't want to be. He basically, before he died, he was a low-life scumbag. I'm just being honest, y'all. That's the God's honest truth. Two things can be true. He can deserve justice, and he could have been a bullshit, ain't shit nigga at the same time. But let's take a look.
Tonight we're hearing from the attorney representing George Floyd's family in a lawsuit against rapper Kanye West after he made false claims about Floyd's death. Charmaine Nero joins us now with what the family is asking for. Charmaine?
Randy, the episode of the Drink Champs podcast in question has since been removed, but clips can still be found online. And lawyers representing George Floyd's family tell me it's causing even more emotional distress for his daughter.
They are hurt, angry,
confused.
Following the controversial interview, Roxy Washington acting on behalf of George Floyd's daughter, Gianna.
Now, a lot of people are up in arms over this shit. I ain't gonna say a lot. Well, you know, I would say it's a 50-50 split. Some people are up in arms over this family because this family was out here talking about a bunch of forgiveness and they wasn't holding the city who actually killed him to the same standard they trying to hold Kanye West to. Now, Kanye West said he died because he's on fentanyl and all that shit. No, Kanye. He died because that man had his knee on his neck and he never got up. Yeah, so Kanye West was wrong for saying that. But this whole $250 million lawsuit, I don't know. I think that this is a hell of a reach.
Announced plans to sue the recording artist for $250 million in damages, citing harassment, defamation, and emotional distress.
The interview was removed from, I believe, Revolt TV and YouTube, but it doesn't leave the atmosphere. It's been viewed millions of times. How is it that we prevent Gianna Floyd and the rest of the family from being re-traumatized?
The podcast.
Let me tell you what's more traumatizing to a little girl. What's more traumatizing than having a dope fiend daddy? See, let's be real, y'all. What's more traumatizing is having a dope fiend daddy who wasn't shit, who's riding around scheming and scamming with counterfeit 20s. Come on, man. That's more traumatizing to a little girl. That little girl doesn't know what's going on. These adults are using that little girl's pain and loss of a father as trying to get some kind of monetary gain. Look, well, like I said, what Kanye West said was wrong, but the man is already dead, so I don't know how you can defame him. He's dead already. So I don't know how this seems like a hell of a reach by the family.
Was the latest in a string of controversial behavior from West. U of M professor Jane Kirtley says although there may be a few challenges when it comes to West's First Amendment rights, some claims may still stand.
Probably the claims that are most likely to survive a motion to dismiss would be the misappropriation of the name and image and the infliction of emotional distress. And I think defamation is unlikely to succeed simply because Mr. Floyd is no longer living.
In the end, lawyers argue everyone should be held accountable for any harm caused by their words.
I think that the conversation about free speech, is a very important conversation that's being had around the entire country. And I say yes, Kanye West has a right to free speech like every other American. However, there are limitations.
Now, the attorneys for Floyd's daughter have already issued a cease and desist letter to West. They tell me they're still in the investigative stage and expect to file the lawsuit soon. Back to you.
All right, Charmaine, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that so much. Yeah, you should have attacked the city with the same veracity and energy. If anything, the city, I think it was Minneapolis, the city where he died at, that's the city that they should have sued for $250 million, y'all. They the one killed him. So, yeah, they was up there talking about forgiveness with the police and all that other shit before. Now, you talking about $250 million out of Kanye West. Yeah, let's look at this. Russian drone strike signal dawn of new warfare. And now, on this channel, I've covered the Russian war, like I've said before. This is some of the first videos I started making when I started my YouTube channel was Russian drone strikes. The Russian-Ukraine war I was actually reading, but the Russian-Ukraine war, some of the first videos I made, and it's amazing, like when I go back and watch those videos, which I did like a month ago, how precise and how correct I ended up being in a lot of those videos. Look, like I said, nobody's right all the time, but if you right 70% of the time on some of this stuff, man, hey man, 70, 75, I would even say 80, man. A lot of this shit, I'm knocking it out of the park. And I said before that Russia will start to step up their military strikes, their aggression and everything, because, the United States is helping the Ukraine with everything they got. All the money, all the weapons, and everything, strategy, drone footage, everything, spies. The United States is helping on everything right now. So Russia's going to have to step it up. They're going to have to be barbaric. They're going to have to kill civilians, men, women, and children, as unfortunate as that is, because they're going to have to bomb indiscriminately. You can tell that's where it's going because you have the help of the United States. If the United States is backing you, you can fight indefinitely. You know what I mean? And that's going to be bloody and long for the Russians. So the Russians are going to step it up. Let's take a look.
Well, Russia's use of those Iranian-supplied kamikaze drones has marked a significant shift in its brutal assault on Ukraine. CBS's David Martin is at the Pentagon, where he takes a closer look tonight at this deadly and effective weapon.
A contrail and a puff of smoke are what's left after Ukraine today shot down another kamikaze drone fired by Russia. But others got through, hitting power plants and forcing President Zelensky to convene an emergency meeting to avoid a breakdown of Ukraine's energy system.
And I'm going to do a video on this character here, Zelensky. He was a former comedian turned president. I mean, the irony that this whole thing in the Ukraine is one big joke is obviously right there in your lap. Him being a former comedian and him all of a sudden gaining power. You know how hard it is for a court gesture to become leader of a country? It's borderline impossible. You would have to have the backing of a superpower. And that's exactly what happened with Zelensky. But I'm not going to dive too deep into that right now. But yeah, Zelensky has no business being president of the United States. And the only reason this whole thing hasn't collapsed, like I said, is because of the United States. The help of the United States and their allies.
The 11 by 8 foot Iranian-made drone carries a relatively small 90-pound warhead. But that's enough.
Drones are going to be very good going against transformer yards, things like that, where you can cut off power quickly.
Frank McKenzie, who recently retired as the general in charge of all U.S. forces in the Middle East, has seen swarm attacks by Iranian drones before.
If you launch enough of them, the theory is you will be able to overcome air defenses because they fly at low altitudes and they're very cheap to produce.
How many of these drones does Iran produce?
Thousands.
Since the first kamikaze drone was launched last month, Ukraine claims it has shot down 223. U.S. officials estimate Ukraine has a roughly 50% success rate, which would mean Russia has launched nearly 450 kamikaze drones.
And let's be honest, that's a lot, but that's not a lot. Imagine if they was launching 50, 60, 70 at a time, how devastating that can be. You know what I mean? Imagine that, and believe you me, over time, that's what eventually will happen. Maybe not 50, 60, but they might launch 25, 30 at a time at a single target or a single area. And yeah, you might shoot down 10, but goddamn 15 got through, and that's devastating. Yeah, them drone swarms that's the future, man, of warfare, these drones.
That's a high volume. It's a high volume.
A 50% rate also means more than 200 have gotten through. Even though the Ukrainians use everything from guided missiles to small arms fire to try to bring them down.
They don't necessarily fly a straight line. They can do dog legs, different route to try to avoid where they think you have your own air defense. So you set your air defenses up, they can shoot at them.
Russia's drone attacks only seem to make Ukraine more determined to fight on, but there's no denying they're having an impact. Tonight, the Ukrainian official announced electricity restrictions will go into effect on Thursday in an attempt to avoid.
Yeah, Russia can't afford to give up on this war. If you watch any of my other videos, maybe you're new to the channel, I always try to talk to the new people. And I've done whole videos on why this war in Russia is taking place. And it's all about natural resources. My son was telling me about all the natural gas in the Ukraine. And that's true. It's most definitely about that too. But the biggest thing is missile defense and missile offense. The United States have all these missiles lined up at these people's doorstep, and Ukraine is the last piece of the puzzle for the West and the allies to get their missiles and missile defense lined up right next door to Russia. That's like when the Cuban Missile Crisis, when the Russians had their missiles 90 miles off the coast of Florida and Cuba. You just can't have it. You'll do anything and everything to stop that. This whole thing that Russia just did this by happenstance out of the blue is bullshit. Yeah, I'm not saying by no stretch of the imagination that Vladimir Putin is a good person, but he is a genius. He's a former KGB agent who worked his way up to be the most powerful man in Russia. And when I say genius, that don't mean he's a genius in every area. That means he's a genius at moving strategically in a political landscape that is vicious, that is unrelenting, and that is one of the most cutthroat political arenas in the world, which is former Soviet Union, now Russian Federation. Let's take a look at this, y'all. This is important. I've said in the other videos that I made on Russia and Ukraine, I also, in all those videos, you go back and watch them, I mentioned China, I mentioned North Korea. And 7 months ago, I told you China is going into Taiwan. No doubt about it. I predicted it. I've been knocking this shit out of the park for the longest, you guys. I really have. I got to toot my own horn because ain't nobody else going to do it. If you want to toot it for me, you can get in the comment section and say, yeah, that nigga been knocking it out the park. But if not, I'll do it. Yeah. Let's take a look.
His place in history, set to secure power here for a groundbreaking third term, addressing the Communist Party Congress.
我们必须增强
Be ready to withstand high winds, choppy waters, and even dangerous storms, he warned, of tough times ahead. Xi mentioned security or safety dozens of times. The biggest applause when he declared Taiwan will be part of mainland China, even if it means taking the self-governed island by force.
Did you just hear that? Let's hear it one more time.
Biggest applause when he declared Taiwan will be part of mainland China, even if it means taking the self-governed island by force.
Taking the all he said, basically, reading them in 20 lines, he said it's going to be choppy waters and winds, and it's going to be hard times. Get yourself ready, because in layman terms, what he's saying, there are going to be sanctions. The United States is going to do what they're going to do, but we're going to do what we're going to do. We're going to take Taiwan back the same way Russia is taking back the Ukraine, the same way that North Korea wants to take back South Korea. I told my son was like, yeah, maybe in the next 20 years. No, son, no. They first to go, they going soon. Yeah, they not supposed to wait around and all that. United States seem vulnerable because you can't fight everywhere. As strong as United States is and as powerful as it is, they can't fight everywhere at once. You're stretched too thin. You know what I mean? You just can't do that. So that's why, as this war rages in the Ukraine, look how much money we done gave to the Ukraine. Now, how much money will we have to get at Taiwan? How much military, power and guns and weapons and finances do we have to get to Taiwan? And then what about with South Korea? We already gave at least a couple $1 trillion to Taiwan. Not Taiwan, to South Korea over since the Korean War. We've had to get them people $1 trillion plus, a couple $1 trillion. Easily. So they're going to take Taiwan back by force. So get yourself, listen to me, y'all. We have to get ourselves ready and prepared, because when China does that shit, it's going to set off a series of events that affects every single American. I promise you that. This is the only channel you're probably going to come and get this type of good game and good knowledge. When the president just told you, his loudest applause from the political arena in China was when he said, we're going to take Taiwan is ours and we're going to take it back by force. They dead set on that. Let me see what else. Oh, I want to go over this too. 2 men cited for fishing in Waikiki protected area. Now, I've been to Hawaii before. Beautiful, beautiful island. It's hot as Miami and hot as Dallas, Texas. It's hot as hell over there, y'all. I thought it was this tropical paradise with nice breezes and 78 degrees. Boy, was I wrong. But it is beautiful over there. But 2 men cited for fishing violation. Let's take a look.
The State Department of Land and Natural Resources cited 2 Honolulu men for fishing violations in Waikiki. Officers cited Alvin Lucio and Redios Rook late Saturday night for night diving in Waikiki Fisheries Management Area.
Now, the white man that went over to Hawaii and told the Aboriginal local citizens when they can win and when they can't fish. Ain't that about a bitch? While he's underwater in the ocean with his goddamn submarines using sonar, killing all the whales and mammals and shit, the dolphins and carrying on, he's telling the local people when they can go get a fish. Unbelievable.
Night diving is prohibited in the area from 6 in the evening through 6 o'clock in the morning every...
Now look at him. I know he I can't believe. Then they got him holding up like he's a goddamn a political refugee or somebody who was captured during a war. That's some shit they capture you during a war. Look how they got him holding up his little thing, his name, his date of birth, and oh man, they doing it wrong.
Officers said the two men tried to avoid them by turning off their dive lights and remaining just offshore rather. Officers eventually made contact with the men and found that they had a total of 32 illegally taken fish. Both men are scheduled to appear in court in November.
That's ridiculous. How the hell is how the hell they gonna take somebody? How the hell they gonna tell a local citizen on their island when they can and can't fish? Boy, the white man is something else. That's why I say I don't look. America is a great country, the greatest country, but they're not a just country. There's two different things. They're not just as they can be. The way they've treated the Negro, the way they've treated the Hawaiians, the locals over there, and man, the local people of Alaska, the Eskimo, man, they ain't did nobody right. Hell. And when I say white people, I don't mean every single white person. I just mean the ones that's in power. Because it seems like the good ones ain't never in power. They're fantastic and good white people, but they ain't never in power. That's one thing I'll keep going over and keep saying. Now, let me go over this. I'm going to say this Texas cop charge shooting. I'm going to say that for tomorrow. But I'm going to end the day off with a couple kidnapping and sick people following children home. Now, let's take a look at this. LAPD searching for man accused of sexually assaulting a teenager. Let's look at this sick shit. Oh, wrong one. We gonna go back to her.
Manhunt for this man who kidnapped and sexually assaulted a 14-year-old. Police desperate tonight to get this guy off the streets.
And let me tell y'all this. Tell y'all young kids and y'all young daughters. Look, when a man walk up on you and pull a gun, and he's not asking for your goods, like say he's asking for your necklace or your watch or your shoes or your backpack, any of that, you can give it to him. Never give him your body. Force him to shoot you on the street. Look, the last thing you want to be is kidnapped, taped up, tortured, and all you can say is, That's what you don't want, y'all. That's what you do not want. I told my daughter, you scream, you holler, you yell, you kick, you fight, you tell the motherfucker, I'm not going with you. There's no way, shape, or form. Never, ever, 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 ever let somebody take you off the street. Never force them to shoot you. And if they do, so be it. I'm not saying you're not supposed to be scared, but shit. What's even scary is somebody getting you somewhere where they feel comfortable and safe. Because on that street, he's not comfortable and safe. That's why he got the gun to her and walked her so close. She should have fought, kicked, screamed, yelled, shoot me. Shoot me. He's trying to take me. That's what she should have did, y'all.
Before he strikes again.
Oh, here we go.
He says kidnapped and attacked a 14-year-old.
That's right, that attack happened at El Cerrillo Park in El Cerrillo. That is the 4700 block of Klamath Street.
Tonight, KCOM9's Lori Perez is live with late-breaking details in the search for the suspect. Lori.
Yeah, what a scary situation this is, especially when you consider how many children are in this area. As you said, this is El Cerrillo Park. This is a very popular park. It has a skate section. There's a baseball field and rec center. On the far side of the park, there's a school. Now, the video we're about to show you is not long, but it does not have to be long to be terrifying. It is a bit blurry, but LAPD says what we're looking at is a suspect with a weapon kidnapping a 14-year-old. You can kind of see he has one arm at the teen's waist, the other around their back. They are walking on an El Cerrillo street. At one point, it looks as if a car slows down for a moment. Maybe that driver saw something that didn't look right. We don't know. But LAPD says the suspect forced the 14-year-old into a bathroom at this park where he allegedly sexually assaulted the teen. Police say the suspect then fled the scene. He is described as a black man with a curly hair and a goatee. He was last seen wearing a white shirt with...
And when they say black man, we got to be careful now, because that don't mean he was a Negro. I'm not saying he's not a Negro, but that don't mean. Sometimes we have a lot of people, especially in LA, that's from, it's not Trinidad. It's, damn, I can't think of the country that they from. But it's a South American country, and it's a boatload of them in Los Angeles. And they look like Negroes, but they not us. So we have to be careful. He could be a Negro. I don't know. When they catch him, eventually I'll go back over the case because they probably eventually catch him. But we have to be careful because all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Sometimes these people be from Africa. Sometimes they be from Cuba, South America, Venezuela, wherever. But they ain't always us, y'all.
Green and red stripes and dark jeans. Anyone who recognizes this man in this video, who might have seen him walking down the street with the team, is of course urged to call police as soon as possible. This is clearly the kind of guy that they want to get off the street.
But yeah, man, they most definitely got to get that man off the street. But fair use, fair use. I'm using all these videos for educational purposes. Only fair use, using these videos in a transformative way. Let's take a look at this. In the city I live in, Las Vegas, woman accused of chasing and stabbing a man.
For this man who kidnapped and sexually.
Oh.
We are getting our first.
Now you have Christine Warden. I mean, my God, you talking about some reading rainbow edges. Boy, them tight braids do a doozy on some of these black women and all that nasty ass gel on them edges. They over gel them edges, man. They put too many chemicals and then they put them super tight ass braids on them edges. And then you just go bald and then it just got that rainbow feel. You don't have to do that, sisters. Sweet Jesus, look at that lady's hair. Golly. Come on, sister. But she said this lady stabbed somebody.
Let's look at the woman arrested in a use of force incident. It happened near Washington and Oasis last week. Police say when they arrived at the scene, they found a man with stab wounds. And it was this woman, Christine Warden, who has a history of attacking people with a knife, as well as a slew of other assault charges when trying.
No, this Ramboetta. This bitch got a blade and she just that's who she is. You say one wrong thing, she liable to pull a knife out them edges and get on your ass real good, Jack. Golly. She look violent. You know what they say? Oh, you know, men and women is just no. That's why they have women prisons. Shit, women be violent too. Women be domestic abusers. But women can be hurt and harm people and kill too.
To detain her, police say she punched one of the officers. And the man who she stabbed was taken to the hospital for treatment.
Yeah, she on some dope fiend shit. Psychologically damaged. Ain't no telling. She probably was, honestly, looking at her, she probably had an extremely, extremely rough childhood. Just look at her. Yeah, her childhood was rough. Mama never probably read to her when she was a kid. Mama was on some dope fiend. Ain't no telling, man. Fucking niggas and you listening in the other room and the boyfriend touched her and it just probably got wackier and wackier. And by the time she became a teenager, she had tried more drugs than the average person. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you know, with the psychological issues that was never dealt with and the childhood trauma. And then before you know it, her edges is gone and she's mad. And now every time she look in the mirror, she's going to take that out on somebody. Yeah, somebody got to pay. And she probably seen her mama or daddy, her mama or a boyfriend stab on each other. You never know. But that's sad and tragic, you know. But you got to pay the price for your crimes. Hopefully she gets some help in there psychologically. Last clip of the day, y'all. Car followed kids home from school, all the way home from school. And let me tell you a quick story. When I went to Edison High School in Stockton, I think I was in the 9th grade. And at Edison High School, when I stayed on 3rd Street, and right around the corner was my school, but my school had this super long gate and field till you actually got to the schoolhouse. Super long gate, super long street, but it was all the school on one block, but it was a super long block. And I was walking and I seen something I never seen. I seen a car parked right in the middle of that area. I've never seen a car parked there before. I said, this shit here looks odd as hell. I been down, y'all. I tied both shoes. At this time, I'm the 3rd fastest freshman in the city. I was fast as hell in high school. So I see the car. I said, this shit don't look right. I ain't never seen a car park right here. So I been down, tied my shoes. I said, this shit here is weird. So I get close to the car as I'm walking. I said, as soon as I get close to the car and I make eye contact, I'm gone. Now, mind you, this street is long, and he's in the truck. So as soon as I get close to him where I make eye contact, I seen him. I swear to God, y'all, he had the most demonic look. It was a Mexican man. The most demonic look in his eyes, like he had been doing this and had been doing this shit for a long time. Look, as soon as I seen him, y'all, boom, I hit that shit. I was gone. He driving the truck. I took off so quick, y'all. He wasn't even ready to press the pedal. I'm gone. I say I probably ran like, I don't know, close to a quarter of a mile. But mind you, I'm lightning fast at this point. Now, I won't say close to a quarter. I will say maybe 200 yards. About 200 yards I ran. Boom. He followed me in the truck. Boom. As soon as he get close to me, I done already made it to the gate where the cars turn in at. I'd hit the fence. Man, I'm flipping him the bird. I'm calling him every name under the seat. He just looked at me, y'all, with the most devilish, demonic look ever. Now, he would have never got me. He'd have to kill me on the street, but he would have never got me in that car unless he had some kind of tranquilizer dart or some shit to, you know, or he was going to shoot me and kill me and then drag me in the car. But no, he wasn't going to take me alive. But yeah, man. But let's take a look at this clip. Now imagine you're a parent and you see that shit. And this man, he could have been following him for years. Or not years, for a long time, for months, weeks. We don't know. This is in Roseville, California. If you don't know where that's at, that's a little north of Sacramento. And I guarantee you that was a man. Now look. All men across the board, all races have men across the board who have sexual perverts, people who are pedophiles and rapists. But I have to be honest, covering the news, there's the race that's at the top is white and Mexican, followed by everybody else, black, Asian, whatever you want, the Arab, you can go down the list. But from what I've covered, the most sexually perverse men, that don't mean all men of this race. And no, I'm not painting with a broad brush, but I am being honest. White men and Mexican men, man, they got some perverts in their race. They can't, when they get to talk about that, they can't talk too much shit. Now, you know what he's doing? He's one of those people who's building up. He's getting bolder and bolder and bolder. And before you know it, that demon completely takes over and he just snatches a kid up, y'all. He really does, which is terrible. But you see your kids with some pepper spray or something. These kids got to start walking with weapons, man. I'm serious, it's a heart attack. Shit, it's getting dangerous for kids just to walk home from school. Well, it's always been that way. It's always been people. Like I said, shit, that was in the 90s when the little story I just told. But yeah, y'all. But I appreciate this video that went way longer than I wanted. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, man. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I just took your ass on one hell of a don't trust nobody or let nobody get you in a car ride.